Is this what a crush felt like? A constant stomachache, a bubbly feeling in your fingertips? When a tornado rips through town, 12-year-old Ivy Aberdeen's house is destroyed and her family of 6 is displaced. Ivy feels invisible and ignored in the aftermath of the storm, and, what's worse, her notebook filled with secret drawings of girls holding hands has gone missing. Mysteriously, Ivy's drawings begin to reappear in her locker with notes from someone telling her to open up about her identity. Ivy thinks and hopes that this someone might be her classmate, a girl on whom Ivy has begun to develop a crush. Will Ivy find the strength and courage to follow her true feelings? Here is a preview of Ivy Aberdeen's Letter to the World by Ashley Herring Blake. A storm was coming, which was perfect. Thunder rumbled through the night, rattling Ivy Aberdeen's bedroom windows and making a beautiful racket. She smiled and counted, only making it to 2 before lightning washed her room white. Ivy didn't know why people colored bolts of lightning yellow in drawings. They were silvery blue and made her think of whispers and magic, the perfect setting for what Ivy was about to do. She adjusted the headlamp around her forehead, the thick elastic band pulling at her hair. On her nightstand, her clock glowed green, the numbers already inching toward the time she had to get up for school. But she had a good hour at least. She rubbed the sleep from her eyes, and the tiny headlamp shined a yellow circle onto the notebook in her lap. She called it a notebook because there wasn't a better word for it. She could call it a journal, but that didn't feel right either. The book was more like a portable, papery hope chest. Mom stored Ivy's great-grandmother's hope chest up here in the attic, which became Ivy's room a few months ago, so the twins could have their own space. It sat at the end of her bed and smelled like cedar and old stuff. Inside, ancient pictures and clothes and knickknacks were tucked away like secrets. There was even an old wedding dress in there, which Ivy thought was sort of creepy. When she asked about it, her mom told her that way back when, a hope chest was where a girl collected things she would need when she got married, hoping for the right boy to come along so her real life could start. Then her mother went on and on about how marriage had nothing to do with a girl's real life, and how Ivy should hope for lots of different things, not just a boy, which was a relief. She kept her real dreams in a notebook where everything was a complete secret. Her hope chest was securely hidden away and guarded. Ivy aimed the headlamp's beam at the purple and white cover of her notebook. It was one of those decomposition notebooks, and she got it from her language arts teacher at school. She liked thinking about her notebook like that. Decomposition. That's what it felt like to her anyway, taking things apart in her head and putting them down on paper so she could figure out how they worked. Outside, the thunder and lightning snapped right alongside each other, perfect secret drawing weather. Ivy flipped through the crinkly pages and caught a glimpse of a drawing she'd abandoned a few months ago as a hopeless case. She narrowed her eyes and glared at her family, sitting on the grass in a large field. The grass in this field wasn't green, it was silver and pink, with a border of blue-leafed trees. There were Mom and Dad, their eyes shining and their mouths happy, holding Ivy's new twin brothers, Aaron and Evan, in their arms. Her 16-year-old sister Layla was right where she should be, sitting between their parents, grinning at Evan while Aaron wrapped his tiny hand around her finger. Ivy scanned the page for inspiration. There was one person missing from this family portrait, and she couldn't figure out where to put her. Where to put Ivy. She glowered at the picture and flicked the page over so hard it tore right out of the notebook. She nearly balled it up and tossed it toward her garbage can, which was already overflowing with other drawings gone awry. But it felt weird to throw away a picture of her family, even if she wasn't in it. Instead, she folded it up and stuffed it into her swirly blue pillowcase. It wasn't the picture for a night like this anyway. This night needed one of her stormy pictures, like the one she was so close to showing Layla just a couple of weeks ago. The one she wouldn't ever, ever show her now. She found the most recent drawing she'd been working on. There were dozens just like it in her notebook. Each one had some sort of house snuggled up in the branches of blue trees. Trees on fire, trees made of gold, trees under the ocean, and trees at the tippy top of the highest mountain. All of them had a girl with curly hair inside the house, and she wasn't alone. Another girl was in there with her. Sometimes they were standing, looking out at flame-colored hills in the distance. Sometimes they were lying down, tucked into sleeping bags that glowed because they were covered with tiny fireflies, like 100 little nightlights. Sometimes they were reading, or, like this one, facing each other and smiling. Ivy didn't know who the girl was, but she wasn't Layla, and she wasn't her best friend, Taryn, or any of the other girls at school, who lately only wanted to talk about boys. Ivy was 12 years old and had never had a crush on a boy before, but maybe she just hadn't met one she liked, or maybe she couldn't even get crushes. That was her, uncrushable Ivy. But that didn't feel right either, so really, Ivy had no idea what she thought about crushes at all. Which was exactly why the thunder outside was perfect for this picture. When Ivy looked at it, she felt a storm in her stomach. She felt a storm in her head. She felt a storm fizzing into her fingertips and toes. Because in every single picture Ivy drew, she and that girl were holding hands. And they weren't holding hands like she and Layla used to hold hands when they ran down the street to play in the park. It wasn't the way she and Taryn used to hold hands when they ran through the sprinkler in Ivy's backyard before Taryn got too cool to run through sprinklers, and Ivy told her she was too cool for sprinklers too. Ivy stared at the picture, chewing on her lower lip. Maybe she should rip them all out, starting with this one. She liked storms, but storms could be dangerous. And if Ivy had shown one of her stormy pictures to Layla, maybe her sister would have looked at her like she was weird. And this has been a preview of Ivy Aberdeen's Letter to the World.